Aries, pause here, as August 15, 2026 begins a tense 3-day countdown, with something powerful already moving beneath everything familiar. Your massive storm promised by this reading isn't simply weather. It represents pressure, sudden news, emotional shifts, hidden truths, difficult choices, unexpected turns arriving faster than expected. Unusual silence, strange behavior, restless feelings, or an inner warning could become impossible to ignore. One conversation might change perspective, yet another situation reveals why certain doors remained closed. What feels frightening initially may clear space for a stronger chapter ahead. Stay close, since the most important clue hasn't appeared yet. Timing matters more against anticipation. Before uncovering that message, tell me where you're watching from today. Then subscribe, settle in, listen closely. Prepare yourself. Fire sign carries urgency, emotion, mystery, hope through every remaining hour. Secret development connected toward love, money, family, personal direction can soon demand courage and patience very carefully. Very carefully, Aries, because the first sign may not arrive with a loud crash or dramatic scene. It may begin quietly, through a feeling you can't explain, a delay that bothers you, or a person suddenly acting differently. During these 3 days, small details can carry more meaning than usual. Something that normally wouldn't catch your attention may suddenly feel impossible to ignore. Think about the past few days. Have you noticed someone becoming distant? Has conversation been left unfinished? Maybe you've been waiting for an answer, payment, an apology, or a clear decision. Perhaps you've told yourself that you're done thinking about an old situation, yet your mind keeps returning to it. That isn't necessarily a sign that you're moving backward. Sometimes your mind notices change before your life shows it clearly. August 15 begins a period where patience matters. Aries energy usually wants movement. You'd rather act, solve the problem, send the message, make the choice, and get the answer. Waiting can feel almost unbearable when you believe you already know what needs to happen. Yet the energy around these next 3 days asks you to slow down. The reason is simple. Something may be developing behind the scenes. A person connected to your situation could be holding back information. They may not know how to say what they feel, or they may be waiting for the right moment. In another case, the person could already know what they want but hasn't shown you yet. That's why rushing toward an answer could create confusion. Let their actions speak. Watch what changes without forcing anything. Money may also become part of this picture. You could hear about an opportunity, receive an update, notice a payment moving forward, or realize that a financial choice needs to be handled differently. Don't assume every surprise means instant wealth. The stronger message is about movement. Something that felt stuck may finally start moving, even if the first step looks small. Work and personal goals carry a similar warning. A plan may need adjustment before it can succeed. You might discover that the path you wanted isn't the path that serves you best. At first, that can feel like rejection. Later, you'll understand that the delay protected you from wasting more time. Aries, not every closed door is punishment. Some are protection. The emotional part may be harder. You could feel more sensitive than usual, especially when someone doesn't respond the way you expected. A short message might seem colder than it really is. A canceled plan could trigger old disappointment. Someone's silence could make you imagine the worst. Before giving those feelings control, breathe and ask yourself what you actually know. 3 days isn't a long time, but it can be enough for a truth to surface. That's why this countdown matters. The first day may bring awareness. The second may bring a reaction or piece of information. By the third, you may understand why the earlier signs appeared. The order matters because each moment builds on the one before it. There is another detail you should watch: repetition. If the same topic keeps appearing in different ways, don't dismiss it too quickly. Maybe you hear a certain person's name, see something that reminds you of a forgotten goal, receive similar advice from two different people, or keep thinking about one choice. Notice the pattern. Your biggest mistake during this period would be reacting from fear. Fear can make you chase someone who needs to come toward you. It can make you spend money because you're anxious about the future. It can push you to accept less than you deserve to end uncertainty. None of those choices will calm the storm. They may only make the noise louder. Instead, give yourself one simple rule: don't force what isn't ready. If someone wants to explain themselves, give them room. If an opportunity needs time, let the details appear. If a decision feels wrong, don't ignore that feeling simply because you're afraid of missing out. Your strength during this window won't come from controlling every outcome. It'll come from knowing when to wait. There may also be an emotional connection to your past. Someone you haven't fully released could cross your mind, contact you, or appear through an unexpected reminder. That doesn't automatically mean you should return to them. Sometimes the past returns so you can finally see it without the same emotions controlling you. A familiar face can reveal a different lesson. For some Aries viewers, family may become the center of attention. A relative could share news, ask for help, or bring up an issue that has been sitting quietly for too long. Don't become the person who carries everyone's emotions. You can care without taking responsibility for problems around you. As August 15 moves forward, pay attention to your body and your mood. If you feel unusually restless, don't assume something bad is coming. Restlessness can simply mean you're ready for change. Give that energy somewhere useful. Clean your space, finish one delayed task, organize your plans, or write down what you've been avoiding. Clear surroundings can help clear thoughts. Most importantly, don't let the word storm frighten you. A storm is powerful because it changes the atmosphere. It moves things around, exposes what wasn't secure, and eventually leaves the air clearer. That's the deeper message here. Something may shake you, but shaking isn't the same as breaking. By the end of this first stage, you may notice one detail that feels too specific to ignore. It could come through a message, a sudden conversation, financial update, a change in someone's behavior, or an opportunity appearing at an unusual moment. Whatever form it takes, don't rush to label it good or bad. The meaning becomes clearer when you see what follows. And this is where the countdown becomes more serious, because the next sign isn't about what happens around you. It's about what someone has been keeping inside. And this is where the countdown becomes more serious, because the next sign isn't about what happens around you. It's about what someone has been keeping inside. Aries, take a breath and think about the person who immediately came to mind when you heard those words. Don't force the answer. You probably already know who it is. Maybe they've been quiet lately. Maybe they keep watching from a distance, giving mixed signals, or acting as though everything is normal while something feels different underneath. This person may be carrying a thought, feeling, regret, or decision that they haven't shared with you yet. Here's why that matters. People can hide words, but they struggle to hide changes in behavior. A person who suddenly checks on you after weeks of silence may be trying to reopen a door. Someone who becomes unusually cold could be protecting themselves from a conversation they aren't ready to have. Even a small change in tone can tell you more than a long explanation. Aries, don't dismiss your first reaction. You've probably spent enough time learning when something feels off. That doesn't mean every feeling is a prediction, and it doesn't mean you should assume the worst. It means you should pause before ignoring yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. This is the point where many Aries viewers make the same mistake. They feel uncertainty and immediately try to fix it. They send the extra message. They ask for reassurance. They explain themselves again. They chase an answer before the other person has finished deciding what they want to say. But this 3-day window asks you to do something much stronger. Observe. Let silence speak for a moment. Let someone's choices reveal their intentions. If they care, you'll see effort. If they regret something, you'll notice movement. If they want another chance, they'll eventually have to step forward. You don't need to do all the emotional work for two people. Now, there may be another layer here. Someone could be thinking about you because they realize your energy has changed. Perhaps you've stopped chasing. Maybe you've become less available. You may have started focusing on yourself instead of waiting for someone else to choose you. That shift can be powerful because people often recognize your value differently when you stop trying to prove it. A person from your past may feel that change before you even say anything. They could wonder why you're quieter, stronger, or less willing to accept the same treatment. That curiosity can bring contact. It can also bring a confession. But remember this, contact isn't the same as commitment. Words aren't the same as changed behavior. That's the warning hidden inside this reading. If someone returns during these 3 days, don't let nostalgia make the decision for you. Listen to what they say, but watch what they do afterward. Are they taking responsibility? Are they offering something real? Are they willing to meet you halfway? Or are they simply checking whether you are still emotionally available? Those questions can protect your heart without closing it. Something similar may happen around money or work. A person who once overlooked your effort could suddenly recognize what you bring. You may receive an invitation, message, or a chance to revisit something that didn't work before. Don't reject it simply because the timing feels strange. At the same time, don't accept it simply because you're excited to finally be noticed. Your power comes from choosing with a clear mind. There is also a strong possibility that the storm connects with a decision you've delayed. Maybe you've known for months that something needs to change. You might be staying in a routine because it's familiar, keeping a promise that no longer feels right, or protecting a relationship because you're afraid of what happens after you let go. The next few days can make that tension harder to ignore. You may suddenly understand why you've felt restless. The problem isn't always that life is moving too fast. Sometimes it's that your heart has already moved forward while your habits are still living in the past. Aries, that's a powerful realization. If you've been waiting for permission to choose yourself, you may not need it. If you've been waiting for someone to give you closure, you may discover that closure can begin inside you. If you've been hoping for a sign, the sign may arrive through your own reaction to something that happens. And here's where I want you to stay with me, because the next part of this reading becomes more personal. Think about the one situation you keep saying you're fine with, even though deep down you know you're not. Think about the name, decision, or dream that still carries emotional weight. You don't have to tell anyone, just be honest with yourself. Now imagine that within the next 3 days, that situation suddenly moves. A message arrives, a truth comes out, a door opens, a person speaks, or you finally realize that you're ready to walk away. Which one scares you most? Your answer matters because it points toward the place where this storm has the most power. The strongest emotional reaction often shows us what we haven't fully released. Don't mistake discomfort for danger. Sometimes discomfort is simply the feeling of outgrowing an old version of yourself. You may feel nervous because you're standing near a choice that could change your direction. That's different from being on the wrong path. By now, these signs may seem small, but they're beginning to connect. A strange feeling, delayed answer, familiar name, an unexpected message, and a sudden urge to make a change can all point toward one larger moment. The person holding something inside may soon have to reveal it. And when that happens, Aries, you won't just be deciding what they mean. You'll be deciding what you are willing to accept from this point forward. That choice will shape everything that follows next. That choice will shape everything that follows next. For some Aries, the truth may arrive through a conversation you never expected to have. Someone could finally say what they've been holding back, and the words may hit harder than you imagined. Perhaps you'll hear an apology. Maybe you'll learn why they pulled away. There could even be a confession that changes how you've understood the past. Whatever comes forward, don't rush to answer while your emotions are still rising. What makes this moment so important isn't only what another person says. It's what their truth reveals about you. You may discover that you've been waiting for an explanation when what you really needed was permission to stop waiting. You may realize that the answer you wanted from them has already been forming inside your own heart. Aries, this is the peak of the storm. The strongest part isn't necessarily a dramatic event outside you. It can be the instant when something inside you becomes clear. After weeks or months of uncertainty, you may suddenly know what you want. You may know who deserves access to your life, which path deserves your effort, and which situation has taken enough from you. That clarity can feel painful at first because clarity removes excuses. Once you see the truth, you can't easily pretend you don't. A relationship may look different. A friendship may reveal its limits. A work situation may no longer feel worth the cost. Even a personal dream could need a new plan. Here's the surprising part. The storm may not be coming to take something from you. It may be coming to return something you lost while trying to keep everything together. Maybe you've lost confidence. Maybe you've stopped trusting your own judgment. Perhaps you've spent so much time worrying about another person's feelings that you've forgotten your own. The coming shift can remind you that your peace matters too. One of the biggest messages for Aries right now is this: don't confuse familiarity with safety. Something can feel familiar and still be unhealthy for you. A pattern can feel comfortable simply because you've lived through it many times. You may know exactly how a certain person behaves, how an argument ends, or how disappointment feels. Familiar pain can become easier to tolerate than unfamiliar freedom. Yet your next chapter may require you to choose the unfamiliar. That choice could be connected to love. If you've been waiting for someone to decide whether they want you, the storm may push you to stop placing your worth in their hands. If you're already in a relationship, An honest conversation could expose an issue that needs attention. This doesn't automatically mean separation. Sometimes truth gives two people the chance to rebuild on something real. The next clue may arrive quietly, but its impact could feel enormous. Stay grounded, because your first reaction won't necessarily reveal the whole truth. Give the moment room to unfold. Watch especially for what happens after the initial surprise. That's where the real answer may lie. Anyone can make a promise during an emotional moment. What matters is what happens afterward. If someone says they miss you, look for effort. If they apologize, look for changed behavior. If an opportunity is offered, look at the details. If your own heart tells you to move forward, notice whether your actions support that choice. Aries energy can be bold, but bold doesn't mean reckless. Your strongest move may be the one that protects your future instead of satisfying your emotions for 5 minutes. During these 3 days, you may also receive a reminder connected to an old dream. Something you once wanted could come back into view. Perhaps you stopped pursuing it because life became complicated. Maybe responsibilities took over. Now a small opening could appear again. Don't dismiss it because you've changed. The older dream may return in a form that fits the person you've become. And Aries, there's one question you need to ask before this window closes. If I knew I couldn't fail, what would I choose? Don't answer quickly. Let that question sit with you. Maybe the answer is a person. Maybe it's leaving a person. Maybe it's a career move, financial decision, personal boundary, or simply choosing peace. Whatever appears first deserves your attention, because it may reveal the direction your heart has been trying to show you. The next 3 days aren't asking you to predict every event. They're asking you to become awake enough to recognize the moment when it arrives. So if the message comes, listen. If the truth appears, face it. If the door opens, examine it. If the door closes, don't chase it blindly. Your storm reaches its purpose when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to show me?" That shift changes everything. By the time this intense window begins to settle, you may look back at the fear you felt today and realize it was pointing toward freedom. The thing you feared losing may have been blocking what you were meant to receive. And once you understand that, Aries, the story changes completely because what looked like an ending may actually be the first sign of what comes next. And once you understand that, Aries, the story changes completely because what looked like an ending may actually be the first sign of what comes next. Now the energy begins to shift. The pressure that made everything feel uncertain starts giving you room to breathe. You may still have questions, but they don't carry the same weight. Something inside you has started to loosen, and that matters more than you realize. When fear stops controlling every thought, you can finally notice opportunities that were hidden behind all that worry. For some Aries, this change may begin with a simple decision. You stop checking for someone's message. You stop replaying an old conversation. You stop wondering why a person treated you a certain way. Instead, your attention returns to your own life. That small shift can create a powerful difference because your energy is no longer trapped inside a situation you can't control. A relationship that once felt confusing may become easier to understand. Perhaps someone finally shows you through their actions where they stand. Maybe you recognize that the connection isn't giving you the peace you need. Either way, clarity brings relief. You don't have to keep guessing when someone's behavior has already answered the question. There can also be a quiet healing around family. An old disagreement may soften. Someone could reach out with better intentions, or you may decide that carrying resentment is costing you more than the original situation. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It means refusing to let yesterday control tomorrow. Money can bring a similar change. If you've been worried about a bill, payment, job, or financial choice, a small opening may appear. It might not look like the massive breakthrough you imagined at first. Maybe it's a new lead, an extra opportunity, delayed payment finally moving, or useful information that helps you make a smarter decision. Don't overlook small movement. Big changes often begin with one practical step. Your work life may also surprise you. Someone could notice your effort after you've stopped trying to get their approval. A task that seemed pointless may lead to something useful. An idea you almost abandoned could become valuable again. The important lesson is to stay open without becoming desperate. You don't need to force recognition. Let your consistency speak for you. The storm has already shown you what cannot remain the same. Now the clearing process shows you what deserves another chance. That could mean giving yourself permission to rest. Aries often carries a strong need to keep moving, but constant motion isn't always progress. Sometimes your next breakthrough comes after you stop fighting every delay. Sleep. Think, walk away from the noise. Give your mind enough quiet to hear what your heart has been saying. You may notice that certain people suddenly feel different around you. Some will become warmer because they sense your confidence returning. Others may become uncomfortable because you're no longer as easy to influence. Don't take every change personally. When you change your boundaries, relationships often reveal their true shape. This is where you need to remember something important. You don't have to convince everyone to understand your growth. If someone believes the old version of you is still available, let their assumptions stay with them. You know what you've survived. You know how many times you've started again. You know how much energy you've spent trying to make situations work. This new chapter doesn't require you to explain your transformation to everyone. There may even be a moment when you feel strangely peaceful about something that used to hurt. That is one of the clearest signs that the storm is passing. The memory hasn't disappeared, but it no longer controls your mood. The person hasn't changed, yet your response has. The past remains part of your story without deciding your future. For Aries who are single, this clearing can make room for healthier love. When you stop chasing unavailable people, you create space for someone who actually wants to meet you halfway. A new connection may appear through an ordinary situation, message, work, travel, or a social setting. Don't focus only on dramatic chemistry. Look for consistency, respect, kindness, and peace. Those in relationships may experience a different kind of opening. A difficult topic can finally be discussed without turning into another fight. One honest conversation could help both people understand what has been missing. If the relationship has a strong foundation, truth can make it stronger. If the foundation is weak, truth can show you where the real problem lies. Either way, knowledge is better than confusion. The same applies to your personal goals. You may realize that you've been measuring success by someone else's timeline. Maybe you thought you should already have achieved something by now. Maybe another person's progress made you question your own. Let that comparison go. Your life doesn't need to follow another person's schedule to become meaningful. The next stage asks you to rebuild from a calmer place. Don't make every decision because you're afraid time is running out. The 3-day warning isn't telling you to panic. It's telling you to pay attention. There's a difference. One door may close, but another can become visible only after you stop staring at the first one. That's why the emotional storm matters. It changes your direction by forcing you to notice what you couldn't see while everything felt familiar. As August 15 continues, carry this thought with you. What leaves your life isn't always a loss. Sometimes it's the space your future needed. You may not see the full picture yet. That's okay. You don't need every answer today. You only need enough courage to take the next honest step. And that step could lead somewhere you never expected. Because hidden inside this clearing is an opportunity that may arrive at exactly the moment you stop looking for it. And when it appears, you'll recognize it because it feels peaceful, clear, and strangely right. Peaceful, clear, and strangely right. That feeling may be the first clue that the storm was never meant to leave you empty. It was making room. Now, Aries, something unexpected can step into that space, and it may arrive in a form you don't recognize at first. The gift could be a person, an opportunity, financial opening, new idea, or simply a level of peace you haven't felt. Don't expect the universe to wrap this gift in a perfect package. Sometimes the best changes begin with something ordinary. A message arrives while you're busy. Someone mentions your name in the right room. A delayed payment finally clears. A person offers help without being asked. You notice an opening at work. An old skill suddenly becomes useful in your life. One small event can start a chain of changes that becomes much bigger than expected. For some Aries, the unexpected gift is connected to money. You may find a way to reduce a burden, increase your income, recover something you thought was lost, or make a smarter choice with what you already have. This isn't a promise of instant wealth. It's a reminder to watch for practical openings. If an option appears, read the details, ask questions, and don't let excitement make the decision for you. Another Aries may receive a gift through love. Someone could become honest about their feelings. A new person might show interest in a calm, respectful way. An old connection could return with a different attitude. Yet the real gift isn't having someone choose you. It's realizing that you no longer need to beg for attention. You can receive love without chasing it. Maybe you once thought intense feelings meant a relationship was meant to last. Now you're learning that peace can be just as powerful. Someone who communicates clearly may feel less exciting at first than someone who keeps you guessing, but consistency can become the kind of excitement your heart needs. For Aries already in a relationship, the unexpected gift may come through deeper understanding. A partner could finally explain something that has bothered you. You may discover that they were dealing with pressure you didn't know about. One honest talk can remove months of assumptions. The goal isn't to prove who was right, it's to understand what both of you need next. Work can bring another surprise. A person who has been watching your effort may offer you a chance to take on something bigger. You could be trusted with a new role, introduced to someone useful, or asked to help with a project that opens another door later. Don't underestimate the value of being dependable. Effort often creates opportunities long before you can see the result. There's also a personal gift waiting in your own confidence. After everything you've questioned, you may finally trust your judgment again. That matters because confidence changes the choices you make. You stop accepting every offer. You stop explaining every boundary. You stop assuming that every delay means rejection. You begin asking whether something actually fits the life you're building. Aries, this is where the storm starts giving something back. The situation that once made you feel powerless may become the reason you become stronger. The person who walked away may have forced you to discover your own value. The delay that frustrated you may have protected your timing. The rejection that hurt may have redirected you toward a better option. You may also notice an unexpected return of motivation. A project you ignored could suddenly excite you again. A goal that felt too far away may seem possible. You could wake up with a clear idea and feel ready to act. Write it down. Don't assume you'll remember it later. Sometimes, fresh idea arrives quickly because your mind is finally free from an old problem. Pay attention to conversations during this period too. One sentence from another person could give you information you needed months ago. A casual suggestion could lead you somewhere important. Even a disagreement might reveal what you truly believe. Listen closely, but don't make every word into a sign. Let meaning build naturally. The strongest gift may be choice. You are becoming less trapped by what happened before. You can choose where your attention goes. You can choose who gets your time. You can choose whether an old pattern continues. You can choose to save money instead of spending from emotion. You can choose rest instead of proving yourself. These choices may look small, but they change the direction of a life. And if someone brings you an opportunity during these 3 days, remember the lesson from the storm. Don't rush because you're afraid the chance will disappear. A real opportunity can survive a few thoughtful questions. If someone pressures you to decide instantly, slow down. Protect your future as carefully as you protect your hopes. For those waiting on money, work, or a decision, movement may begin with one update rather than a complete solution. Celebrate progress without demanding the entire answer at once. One step can lead to another. Aries, the hidden gift here is not that everything suddenly becomes perfect. It's that you become ready for what is good for you. That's a major difference. When you're ready, you don't have to chase every opportunity. You can recognize the one that respects your values. You don't have to convince someone to stay. You can notice who chooses you freely. You don't have to fear every ending. You can understand that some endings create room. The next few days may therefore bring a strange mix of emotion. One moment could make you nervous, while another gives you hope. Something may leave while something else begins. Don't judge the entire story from one moment, because the real test is coming now. Once the opportunity appears, Aries, you must decide whether you'll trust the stronger version of yourself that this storm created or return to the old pattern that kept you waiting.